Three companies, disrupting what you know about marketing and branding. Welcome to M Squared.
Welcome back to another episode of M Squared. I'm your host from the Staten Island Media Group, Dan Ryan. Joining me as always is Anthony Rapachulo from Precision.
What's up?
Also Mike Bloomfield, the Techie Geek.
What's up?
Today, joining us, we have a special guest from the Staten Island Media Group and the Staten Island Advance, Pam Silvestri. She's our food editor and also the host of a show called The Dish.
Thank you for having me today.
Thanks for joining us.
And also the new Friday series. Talk about the Friday. What's the official
Fast
title?
Food Fridays.
Fast Food Fridays. I had the privilege of being on. We were hanging out in Taco Bell talking about brands, marketing, events going on.
I had Taco Bell today.
Yeah, but you weren't on.
No, I wasn't invited to Fast Food Fridays.
I felt very special.
I'd like to go to your episode of Fast Food Friday at White Castle.
You can do it. Absolutely.
I love White Castle.
You can come along with Bill Sequist, who is a comedian and also a Great Kills resident who was the lifetime winner of White Castle.
There's a lifetime winner of White
Yep.
Castle?
Oh,
missed
man.
out.
Mike is so mad right now.
Have you ever done Valentine's at White Castle?
No. Do you think Nicole would allow that to happen? I've
She
tried.
She let you bring home meat from Richmond Avenue.
Those trucks are
From
excellent.
from the halal guy on
They're
Richmond Avenue.
excellent.
Okay.
Yeah, it's really good. But yeah, I tried to do that, and I also wanted to give her the White Castle scented candles, and she told me
That's not
that
a-
would
that's
definitely
not a
be a
real thing.
divorce.
All you gotta
That's a
do
real
is
thing.
just
Oh,
go,
that's a real thing.
just go saute some onions.
Oh my God.
I'm gonna get you that for your office.
No, I'm good. I'm good.
No,
I don't need anything like that.
I have to get you a gift, and it will be a White Castle scented candle.
Where are we going tomorrow, Pam?
Tomorrow we're going to Novelli's. Actually, it's
Okay.
it's a shade
It's a nice
fast
pork
food.
store.
I was going to go to Novelli's or a Liberian food truck that just set up at 76 Canal Street, but I don't know if she's completely ready yet. So I'll give her another week to.
Belly's is one of the best on the island.
Yeah, absolutely, no doubt.
Is Canal Street like Manhattan Canal Street or Staten Island?
Staten Island and Stapleton,
There is a Canal Street, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, I didn't know that.
near the library in Stapleton.
You are probably, and I could say this even though Dan's here, you are probably one of the most respected people in the Advance family. And because everyone loves food, right? Everyone loves food. Everyone follows you. Everyone is interested in what you have to say about all the food and all the restaurants opening up. How do you get that out and get it out so quickly? Because people may not realize, but you write like what, 4, 5, sometimes 6 pieces a day?
Yeah, I've been, but it depends on the tediousness of the story.
Right. But so how do you do that? How do you parlay the cuisine of the borough to get it out there to the masses?
Especially as it's changing.
Right.
It's changing all the time. And you're seeing a Chinatown develop on New Door Plain, and the businesses come and go in there. And it's a very interesting thing also with the language issues lately, the last year or so, that's been interesting. But I've relied on a lot of actually real estate people because there are so many people renting spaces that weren't restaurants before. So there's major investments going in and empty
New things
spaces.
popping up.
Yeah. It's interesting, but my realtor friends around the island are very good conduits of information because you can tell what's coming in, what's coming out, trends.
And they have all their meetings in restaurants, right? Let's face it, all the realtors that we know, they're all hanging out, drinking, eating all day, right?
Well, that's the lunch crowd during
Like
the
I'm in the wrong industry.
Right.
Right.
No one's doing any work. They're just,
I'm going to get my license.
You're not a good salesperson.
wow.
But it's interesting because Staten Island is a very difficult borough to navigate with food because it's got niche markets, and we're not necessarily the best individually at getting the word out. I think the most famous restaurant on the island is Ica Maria
Yeah.
on Hyatt Street in St. George.
And now they're doing that documentary. Is that correct, or is that a rumor?
Yeah, no, he's big. He's a great marketer, and he spends a lot of time, I think, reaching out to people. He's out and about at the Green Market.
Which restaurant is this?
Inoteca Maria.
Next
The
to the
Grandmas.
St. George Theater.
The Nonas. The
Oh, that's the grandmother. I've never been there. That's just very small place,
Yeah,
right? But
but
really
it's
nice.
every week is a different
Different
Nona.
Nona.
Is it good?
I
Excellent.
went there years ago. It was very good. My wife
Fantastic.
really enjoyed it.
They started branching out too. It used to just be Italian grandmas, and now they do different nationalities, different backgrounds. You could get Indian grandma at night. You could do a variety of different things. So it's good though.
Never
He's
been.
got a great cookbook. There's all
Yeah. We got to write a cookbook. That's what we got to do. Anyway,
I'll help you with that.
Back to Pam. So before your life at the Advance, you were a restaurateur. So
Yes.
talk about how that life helped transition you into being an expert in your new role, because you know, back of the house, front of the house, you have more intimate knowledge than somebody who just goes out to eat for a living, right? Like it's not like you're just going out and eating every day. What goes on in the back of the restaurant, the front of the restaurant, what goes into it, what goes out of it, about your previous ownership.
I don't think that you can necessarily start writing about food generally unless a lot of different aspects of the business. And I learned my business actually from the ground up. I knew I was always going to own a restaurant, so I went to college with not really paying attention to exactly what I was going to major in.
None of us did, don't worry.
So my father was very disappointed that I didn't major in like education, and I graduated with a degree in architecture and urban planning, which was great and helpful.
Architecture, that's interesting.
With electrical stuff and
You heard that
planning.
here first.
Yeah. But anyway, I had always had an interest in journalism and always worked for my school newspaper, my college newspaper at Bryn Mawr and at St. Joseph Hill Academy. And then, but interestingly, I started out as a lunch lady, and our first account was at St. Joseph Hill Academy, which was my alma mater. And I learned everything with children. It's
That
amazing.
makes it exponentially more difficult.
They teach you everything. Those are your best customers and your best educators are children because
Probably the most honest.
oh yeah, they make faces. They have no filter. And
don't care.
Yeah.
Too much butter.
This sucks.
I'll tell you some of the mistakes that I made early on. One time, like I really didn't know what I was doing with like gas, electric. That I
Yeah, you just
had a general
buttons, you
knowledge.
help-
Yeah, like
shoot for the best.
so
Fire's fire.
I realized
Yeah.
we had a Pitco fryolator and I could smell gas, and I was like, oh my gosh. So I took suds, like dish soap,
Yeah, that works.
to see if there was like bubbling.
Bubbles, right?
And I saw bubbles, and I was like, oh my God, what am I going to do? Oh my gosh, it's almost lunchtime. So I called Con Ed, gives me Brooklyn Uni Gas, and they shut everything down. And so we had no school lunch that day, and they had fire trucks all around the school. And
Well, it's better be safe.
I know, but it was just awfully embarrassing, and just more reason to learn how to do those things myself, learn how to shut the gas valve off and stuff like that, or not cook French fries that day.
But better to learn.
Oh, yeah.
Better to learn a little bit of humility than to blow a school.
Yeah, I think
That's
it's
a good point.
Much better.
That's an excellent point.
Everyone was glad.
But
the
I'll tell
parents,
you-
the kids.
Tell you another crazy story. Years ago, when I had my restaurant, so I went from, we had a cafeteria lunch service at St. Joseph Hill Academy. We got a wonderful review in the Staten Island Advance. And then our business grew exponentially. And
Power of media.
yeah, it was, but it's that Staten Island Advance really put us on the map because they did an actual full-blown restaurant review. Some kid wrote into the paper. And then from there, more Catholic learned about us. And then we got a couple of other schools. And then Monsignor Bergen, who was eventually the vicar for education for the Archdiocese of New York, pulled us into several other accounts around the city. So we, at one point, had about 130 employees. And I said
Wow.
to my husband and business
Who
partner,
knew? Who knew? I didn't know.
I said, I don't want to be known as a lunch program. And we had a lot of parents asking us to do catering. And it was exponentially, use that word, cheaper than using like somebody who's a real Sala Maria or whatever.
Yeah.
So then I thought, we're not getting the market price, but if we had a restaurant, it would be a little bit more upscale, and it's a little bit more of the food that I really wanted to do. Anyway, I liked this coffee shop called Beans and Leaves. At the time, it was called Coffee and Tea Market on Forest Avenue. And I would sit there and read the paper, and I started counting the cars. And I started to realize that how visible this block was with the 420 block on Forest Avenue. And then suddenly the storefront next door became available, and then the storefront next to it.
Snag it.
That's where we ended up opening up. And in West Brighton, which was fabulous because it had apartment buildings in the neighborhood, and it was a trafficked place pedestrian-wise. But anyway, when I had the American Grill, two things happened that were pretty significant. One is that people were wondering about this name American Grill, and they thought we were a diner.
Okay.
I was like, that was such an unfortunate name. Why did we name it? But things happen for a reason, actually. We had an American flag that a customer of ours and the electrician who helped us put the restaurant together, Electric Eddie the Hat.
Electric Eddie.
Electric
Everybody's
Eddie.
got a nickname.
Yep, on Staten Island, right? Eddie DeGorder. And Ed stuck an American flag up on the wall with push pins. And then 9/11 happened. And people started coming into the restaurant, touching the flag and looking at it as a patriotic
So
restaurant.
it had a lot of meaning.
It did.
Yeah.
And I did it from my heart prior to 9/11, 1999. But anyway, flip forward, lots of experiences with the restaurant, hiring people and chefs and things like that. And also learning how to cook or do dishes when somebody doesn't show up.
That's the
you know?
worst. Gotta
Yeah.
cook, do dishes. Oh.
Well, you had
I've done it.
Gio's.
You don't want to do it. You don't want to. Nobody wants to do it.
So the craziest things happened over the course of the restaurant. And you learn, one thing is I learned how not to accept deliveries in the restaurant because roaches can get into
This is
cardboard
true.
and things
People
like
don't
that.
think about this, though, but you're right. This is
So
true.
I would eventually I learned that all of the deliveries had to be unpacked outside. And I learned that because one time there was a traveler and it came in and it was the end of a lunch rush, and a very nice customer called me over and he goes, "There's a roach on the wall." Oh my gosh, I was like, oh, like, what am I going to do? Run around the restaurant and
Yeah,
like
what do you
try to
do?
chase it down? And so, like, an exterminator came in and everything else, but for 3 days, and that was on a Friday.
Right.
Up until Monday, I was like, every time some customer would
cringe.
sit at this table, I'd
Yeah,
be
you're
like,
like, what do we
"Oh
do?
my
Make
gosh."
sure
I'd
you're
be,
probably
like, leaning against
running
the wall.
around, run around.
Yeah. So anyway, but you learn.
So from all the experience in the restaurant to now dealing with, and now I'm gonna try and quote you, but I know I'm gonna be inaccurate because you wrote an article once, or you said to me verbally once. There's like 1,200. Is that almost accurate? Somewhere in that area of food service locations in the borough.
There's about 1,023 current
I was really close.
At
That was
last
pretty
I
good.
checked.
That was pretty good.
food permits that are in Staten Island.
Now you are going out there and profiling all of these restaurants. You go in, you meet these people. What do you notice has changed from, let's say, even as recently as 5 years ago to today? The way people are marketing their restaurants, the way they're branding their restaurants, even the type of cuisine. Like I think it's more of an experience now, right? No one's just going to sit down and get dinner. You want dinner and a show. You want dinner and a musician. You want a flaming saxophonist. Oh no, we tried.
I
that.
just
It
want
didn't
dinner.
work. So what are you seeing in the food industry in Staten Island?
Seeing a lot of experimentation and things that aren't working.
What's not working? We'll stop you there.
I think that anything that's enormously expensive in the beginning, like putting in massive awning or neon lights, which is very complicated, I think, with the buildings department and things like that. The simpler, the better. That when
Right.
you go in and then later on, if it's a success, they have to
Build
make
up to it.
adjustments. But I think people start out with big guns, and
Right.
that just depletes everything. And then it's just a catch-up game from there. But I really give a lot of credit to some restaurants that are I think, to go back to Teca Marie, I think they're wonderfully creative and things like that. I think opportunities like Basilio Inn and Leedy's Tavern, they're old school, so old school that they miss a lot of opportunities with social media because they're so old school they don't.
But you feel like that's a great point to bring up. So do you feel like these, I don't want to call them old school, but these iconic brands, if you will, of the borough, because those are big names.
Those are the brands. They're the brands because they are unseen. They don't have that. That's kind of part of the charm of going there because you're going to a gem. That's something that's part of the history, part of something that everybody on the island can share in, or they have a story from it.
But they age out. Because if they're not on social media, the people who know about them disappear and they don't know. Like, I've never been to Basilio
I was just going
Inn.
to say, I
I've
know
never
all
been
about
to
them.
I've never
gone to
been to
anyone.
Lee's Tavern, right? I know more about Lee's Tavern because of what's it, One Bite Pizza review and watched his review on that, and that's given me like, oh, I want to go there. But before that, I never thought of going there for pizza, even though I know people say they have a great bar party. So unfortunately, you have to pivot and do some social media because otherwise you will age yourself out.
I think it depends on the kind of the restaurant, too, though, when you think about it. So a place like Lee's, they do tremendous volume.
Right.
They do parties, and it's a neighborhood joint. They sponsor things.
The
they're in the
neighborhood
community.
changes.
They're in the community.
Yeah, but he's right.
You
But to your point,
a place
I've never
like,
gone
a
there.
place like Basilio that only has the sign off the Verrazano.
Right.
Yep.
You say, I always want to try that place where social content could be really great for them.
I think that the South Shore food tours are phenomenal, the ones that you've organized. And
you.
Anthony, to your credit, I want to just give you a compliment.
It never happens. David, are we recording?
You
We are not.
organized one of the best restaurant crawls I've ever experienced, which was the New Dorp Restaurant Crawl in its first year.
That was the first one we did. Thank you.
It was phenomenal, and it
We
was
had a great time.
organized, and the street was closed, and people could really get a taste of the neighborhood. I don't think any other food festival in the street has ever compared to that.
Thank you. I appreciate that. I remember I was standing there yelling, you were laughing, and I was like, yeah, this is what you got to do. We're handing out tickets. And you were like, wait a minute, you're really organizing this? I was like, yeah.
Yeah, it was like 6,000 people, right?
Me and three
First
people
year.
were running around. That's it. We had it.
And
We're good.
It was well done.
We're
It
good.
was-
We got it.
And then I think the trolley rides are superb. There's this bus driver, Reggie,
Yes.
right, who's
We got that next week. And Mike is actually a part of the Business Improvement District. He's on the board. So he's a part of that instrumental part of putting that together as well.
Unfortunately, yeah. It's August, 16th?
August 13th.
13th.
Sunday.
I'll be away, yes.
So-
I seem to always go away during the trolleys.
Everybody goes away. But that's so great because it gives more opportunity for people who are in the borough and it's a hot day and there's the trolley. It's an exciting thing then when you get to see Great Kills and Annandale and
Yeah, it's a lot
and
of fun.
Eltingville, right?
Dan's got to come out. You never came.
It's a lot of fun.
It's fun.
I'm usually gone.
Especially when the
summertime.
trolley makes the sharp,
Yeah.
angular turns and
They
everybody's
do a good
you know,
job, though.
yeah.
They do a good job.
Not all of us take the trolley, though.
Shout out to New York Trolley Company. We've been using them for 4 or 5 years now. They're a great company located in Manhattan, but they are the only game in town if you're looking for a trolley. They do trolley rentals for bachelor parties, bachelorette parties, weddings. It's more than just what we do, but they deserve credit because they're really phenomenal at what they do.
So I think that marketing the restaurant through massive tours like that is very important in street festivals, which we don't do enough of on Staten Island. We don't use the beach enough, I don't think.
That's true.
And also, and to your credit, Mike, you were so nice to me during the COVID. I have to say that people's generosity on Staten Island goes a long way, getting the name out with sponsoring things at the Little League where somebody's just staring at the sign for an entire couple of months with their kid playing. But you were so kind to me. You taught me some stuff about audio. I was doing Facebook Lives from my kitchen table, and you reached out and told me what to do. I thought that was very nice.
We were all in it together.
Yeah, everybody's
stuck
still
in my
learning.
basement. Had nothing else to do.
But anyway, I got this nice microphone, and it really helped. And people were very kind. Readers were lovely. They were like, "Sweetheart, you really shouldn't say that, or you shouldn't act like that, or whatever." Not act like that. They were very nice, and it's always nice when you're nice. I think that goes a long way, and that's better than thousands of dollars of marketing, frankly.
It's true.
Appreciate that.
And when you go out and profile these restaurants, we're going to ask you later all of your handles and email addresses, but you're not asking anything in return. You're going out, you're profiling these restaurants, you're sitting with restaurant owners, because I know when I wore that hat, you would come in and you'd sit down, you'd have a meal, and you'd report, you'd give your exact thoughts on it. And I can't disagree with you, because within a week of your presence or of your video or whatever content we worked together to create, we did see an increase in business.
Oh, I hope so.
Without a
Wonderful.
doubt. Every time we had something going on with you guys, we always saw Friday, Saturday reservations increasing exponentially just because of that thing on Monday.
That's
or
excellent.
that piece on Tuesday.
But that's a big part of why businesses are now sponsoring content that Pam creates for food reviews, other lives, social lives, and things like that. It's because the lift is there, the visibility is
Yeah.
there, and that's our readership is food and crime. Right? Like,
Well,
And tech.
But people like to watch Pam. I was trying to give her a compliment. So
Oh,
it's,
yeah.
in other words, when
And I
I've
know that
seen
was
other
difficult.
lives.
Because she's passionate. She goes in and really
and she
cares and
knows
really
food,
wants to
though.
learn. Yeah,
you
and
know
knows
what
food.
you know what you're talking about. You're not just like me sitting there eating taco at Taco
I
Bell.
thought
the
you
other
know
day.
food.
I do, but not the way she does.
But you-
I think I know.
the way that you communicate, you could tell how much you care about the person whose restaurant that is when you're speaking. You know, and I think that really resonates too. And I know it was, even getting on camera could be outside of your comfort zone, and you transition very well in the pandemic.
thank you. I tried because I couldn't get out of my kitchen, frankly, with the two kids home and my husband going to work like at 5 o'clock in the morning. So it was a rite of passage and survival. But anyway, I just also want to highlight some really wonderful restaurants on the island that do a wonderful job, just doing a good job. Coffee and Collectibles. And I actually,
great.
Never heard of them. I'm going to be honest.
It's across
But I'll
from
check
Joe
them out.
Pence, Maria Croz's place. Her
Oh,
husband.
that's the new.
That's
the new place.
Yeah.
Okay.
The-
In fairness, I know what it is. I'm
pizza
sorry.
cake, cookie
Yeah.
jar, that family.
Now, the collectible store is still the same collectibles, the same antique store. They just attach to it, correct?
Yes.
And they have like cookies there and everything too. So it's like going to the cookie jar but attached to the antique store.
Yep.
The cafe's great. We had lunch and breakfast there.
Yeah, they know what
And,
they're doing.
and
now
the,
that you said
the
it.
one thing I did drive by and notice that I think will help them, it looks like they have a parking lot.
They do.
Because I love going on Victory Boulevard. Not all those, Joan Pax is great. You're circling around looking for a spot where now you can actually go and park in their parking lot.
Yep.
That's true. Parking is a big issue for a lot of people.
Especially on the North Shore.
Yeah, Annandale is an interesting animal
It's
because
the worst.
I
'Cause
mean,
we just park wherever the hell we want.
that is
Literally
true.
anywhere. I park on the sidewalk. People are like, what are you doing? I'm like, I just got to go get my prescription for my mom, or I just got to go get my jewel, or I'll be back. Don't worry, just relax.
Yeah, I think the South Shore is a different animal with parking and people being empathetic to that situation.
Yeah, nobody cares. You know what happens when we get the trolley? Forget it. I got to stand there and scream and yell. The trolley's coming through, but we have a good time.
Who else?
But also, Coral Bay Cafe is a destination that I would have liked to have talked on WNYC. I just actually went on there, talked about Staten Island restaurants and talked about positive things about the borough. But Coral Bay Cafe is at the base of Rockaway Street in Tottenville. And it's got a little beach there. I think it's called Crescent Beach. And I can literally leave the restaurant and go walk on the beach. And
You're
This is the
reminding
second-
me.
This is the second time I've heard about this place today. And I've never heard about it before.
It's
It's
great.
like
I can't wait to
5
go.
blocks from my house. We'll all
Yes.
go. Because my wife says to me all the time, why don't we go there? Because I always forget. You could literally walk. Like
Yeah, it's right there.
It's right there.
That's
It's on a-
Alex from Rumsey was here today filming their podcast, and he was saying that's one of his favorite
Yeah.
spots.
yeah, it's adorable and it's really out of the way. And another place actually in Tottenville, I think Tottenville is a wonderful place to go in the fall. It's just so charming. The leaves changing and smell of burning leaves and stuff like
Yeah.
that, which people seem to do out there still. And so also burn things on the beach or whatever. But
It's its own world, Todd.
I really enjoy the town of Tottenville. I enjoy Danny's Bistro, which is another little hideaway, which
Yeah,
is
we were
right on
talking about
Amboy
that.
Road.
I got to go.
Yeah,
It's literally
it's-
around the block.
I've never heard of that.
It's literally across the street from, what's his name?
The Lucas.
The Lucas.
Right.
Right there.
Okay.
That whole strip is such a nice little restaurant
Yeah.
strip with Reggiano's, and
Yep.
it's very nice. But anyway, I also want to call attention to Lacey's Bridge Tavern, which is in Elm Park. Lacey's has a nice brunch, and again, out of the way, but if you really want to do something interesting and like right after brunch or walk around, you can walk right over the Bayonne Bridge and then come back.
That's interesting.
Oh, that walk over
Kinda
the
cool.
Bayonne Bridge. Let's go.
You know, you can get in your Tesla.
Going from walking into brunch, are there any brunch spots on Staten Island that do a brunch buffet? Other than the Old Bermuda Ring, I know they do it and they do it wonderful. But is there any restaurants that do a brunch buffet?
There is the Hilton Garden Inn does a fabulous job. Lorenzo's.
I didn't even know they do
Absolutely
one.
excellent. Yeah, it's pretty expansive. I think that's the most expansive one.
They got a lot of room.
Yeah.
They got a nice setup over there.
They do. And you mentioned the historic Old Bermuda Inn, which
Yeah.
is charming.
We go over theirs a lot. Theirs is very nice. Because when I used to, in California, they used to have, when I used to be over there, there's so many beautiful spots where they just do brunch buffets.
Right.
What are you looking
Clearly,
for?
I like buffets.
Like all you can eat?
Yeah, if I want a buffet. So, no, I like being able to go and get an omelet. It's like the Old Bermuda Ring. I like being
Multiple
able to
things.
go up, being able to have an omelet, get breakfast, sit down, wait 5 minutes, and go up and now have a chicken parm.
But doesn't the Stonehouse do brunch?
They do brunch. They
Like
have
a
some of
buffet?
it.
Do they?
It's
think so.
partial.
We've had
Mostly, it's the sit down, and it's
I know he has one. I don't know
three-course.
if it's.
I
don't
might
know
have
if it's
been,
buffet or
but-
it might have been Mother's Day. We were there. So then maybe that's why they did it before.
Yeah, they might.
Well, I mean, there are a couple of restaurants that I think are sort of fit the bill with brunch, but where you can just eat and eat. It's New China Buffet, which is in the Boulevard.
Isn't that one
The
of your
new one.
favorite
Oh, yeah,
spots?
it's excellent.
I was gonna
Yes,
say.
it's very good.
Yeah.
Yeah, like an easy pass for that place.
I'll tell you,
Mike, your seat. Have sit down.
He walks in, Mike.
I was doing a live broadcast from there one day, and I didn't realize what I was in for because I got there at like 10 o'clock. The place opened at 11 o'clock.
Mike was there, 10:45.
And there were people that had taken Accessoride there, and they were
Oh, God.
already there at 10 o'clock. I'm like, okay. And
Don't
then
cut me.
as soon as the place really opened, like from the time that I started the broadcast to the time that I ended, the restaurant was empty, packed.
Wow.
And it had mostly Chinese people in it. And they were really going at the buffet. But anyway, so I actually started laughing in the middle of the broadcast because people had a cord to the camera and people were walking in between the cord to get to the
They had to
buffet.
get- they had to get
I had to get out of there.
Yeah, they don't care. They had to get there.
The first time I went there, I met a couple people for lunch. And I was surprised how busy it was. It was packed. And I've been there a few times since. And every time I've been, it's busy. And
I don't eat lunch.
You don't eat lunch?
I haven't eaten lunch
And
in
They
a
have
little
20 years.
sushi and
They have everything. They hibachi. They make you hibachi, and it's really good. They have a lot
You've
of
said
seafood.
good things about it.
It's very good. Now the trick is you go like
inside,
between
here we
where
go.
the lunch and dinner
Oh.
switches over.
You're a pro.
You pay the lunch price. You sit down. They have the lunch, and then they swap the food over for dinner, and now you get to go again.
now you're
How do
talking
you
Mike.
know that?
Mike knows how to order fast food from multiple different places and all have it arrive at his house. At the
He's
same
good.
time.
Yeah.
My grandmother used to do that, and she would know every angle of an early bird special. But I actually asked the owner, because I remember with my grandmother, there would be time limits, like
Yeah, makes sense.
2 hours.
Right.
And I asked her that. I asked the owner at China New Buffet on the air. I was like, is there a time limit? And she was like, oh, God, I don't want to address that. Because think about it. You don't want people to know that they can stay for 2 hours.
You feel like people will just do the right thing, and sometimes they just.
I think they do.
They
I
just
think
don't.
Mike walks in.
Sometimes they just don't. He's walking out with bags full of food.
But K-Pot is a remarkable
I've heard.
value. K-Pot over in right across from ShopRite in Graniteville. And then, so I experienced this for the first time fairly recently. It was so popular, like I literally couldn't get in there sometimes. And
Good for them.
Yeah, I'm very happy for them. They could be busier, actually. I thought they would have lines out the door like
Okay.
every single day, but
Some
they're
of the best
primarily
drink
weekends.
specials in Staten Island.
Yeah,
All right,
excellent.
so educate me. What is it? Tell me what it is. Where is it?
So you go to K-Pot, it's this Korean pot type of situation, but it's like, depending on the time of day, your age, whatever, you pay a different price, but generally,
Really?
yeah.
Based on your weight. I
I was
walked in
gonna,
there.
no, but that's interesting.
But you sit down at a table, they turn a burner on, which is an induction burner.
Okay.
You order a bunch of stuff, yeah,
You
beef
cook it
and
like
things
you
like
cook
that.
it, or they cook it in front of you.
You cook it. Cook
Oh,
it.
why are we
Cook
not
it in
doing
the-
this?
It's
It's
a
like
lot
the
of
melting
fun.
pot.
Yeah.
I'm telling you, too, the drinks,
never done-
the cocktails are cheap.
I gotta go.
Yeah, it's very
Yeah.
affordable. And then there's another place that opened. It's the first Chinese hot pot on Staten Island.
Okay.
It's called Shu, SIU. And
Okay.
it's in the old, I'm really dating myself, but there was the New Dorp post office on New Dorp Lane
Yeah.
on Clausen. So that concept is similar to K-Pot, except that I really have not fully experienced this restaurant. I have to go back a couple of times because they have tons of stuff on the menu and 2 different broths. And then it's apparently very regional.
Okay. So it's authentic.
It's very
Yeah.
authentic. They have
there's a
sliced
ton of
duck
new
intestine
places.
and stuff like that.
Tons of new places open up on New York Lane. We're standing out there watching Finn in his karate class constantly. But, is that the spicy noodle place that has the crawfish?
You might be thinking of the crab place.
That's
no,
on the
there's
corner.
there's another one that opened a little bit down closer to that chicken and burger spot.
Oh, okay. I have not been in that one yet.
Okay.
But there's the Precious Island Dim Sum Tea Shop. They have the carts, the authentic dim sum. That's the first real full-blown dim sum restaurant, aside from East Pacific, which only has that dim sum program on the weekend. People come from all over for the dim sum from East Pacific.
Which one's East Pacific?
I
That's
like
the one in the
saying that.
mall?
The one at the
Dim
mall.
I haven't been there in forever.
Dim
That
sum.
East Pacific used to be excellent. I haven't been there in forever.
It
I've been
is.
there in years.
It's very
Is there-
good.
Aren't they related to the one on
Yeah,
Amboy
East
Road?
Szechuan.
Yeah.
Empire
Empire
Szechuan.
Szechuan.
Empire.
So Helen, her sister, owns the Empire Szechuan on Forest Avenue, which, to their credit, they really broke open a new pathway. They have Mexican food as well. Believe
so
it or
that's
not.
Really?
Fresh tortilla.
One of my favorite spots on New York Lane is Fresh Tortilla,
Wow.
which is a Tex-Mex spot, but
It-
Asian people are.
When you
cooking
look at the
all
menu,
over.
it looks like a Chinese menu, and they yell at you when you don't order by the number, like L3, D5. Like they.
But
That's fun.
it's tacos are like crack. They're delicious.
Yeah, they're very good. It's an excellent taco place.
One of my favorite spots over there is the Vietnamese restaurant.
Faux Rainbow?
Rainbow, yeah, it's excellent.
Faux rainbow.
I like Pho Mac. I think that's my favorite Vietnamese place.
I never had Vietnamese.
So
Let's
where
go.
do you see now? Because we're talking about culture. So what do you see? We've had conversations offline. What do you see as the newest cultural revolution in food on the island, in the borough? Like, what new
As far
cultures
as
are stepping in?
cuisine.
Yeah,
I
cuisine.
think you're seeing 2 enormous influences in Middle Eastern
Middle
cuisine
Eastern, okay.
and Chinese cuisine.
Really? Okay.
Bubble teas, things like
Yeah.
that, quick snacks, beverages, salty snacks, things like that. But to address the Middle Eastern community, especially in Dongan Hills, where I didn't realize how many Middle Eastern owned businesses were there until Eid,
Okay.
New Year, and there were so many businesses that were closed that day. I was like, wow. But interestingly, so all along Highland Boulevard, from Dongan Hills, Grant City, so you've got Ayat, which is a Palestinian restaurant. You've got Yemen Cafe, obviously Yemeni, which is really nice actually, and they have a beautiful roast lamb dish, which is excellent, nice and falling off the bone.
Okay.
Excellent. And so that and falafel and things like that. Also Zara, which is a restaurant that originally started in Dongan Hills, right across from the Colonnade Diner. Yeah,
It's always packed.
Where the old A&W
Packed.
was, right?
Yeah,
All
correct.
day in W's. Yep.
It's always
Yeah.
packed.
I DoorDash from there a lot. It's good.
it's very good. And
They
their new
deliver this
place.
way?
Yeah. DoorDash will pretty much get you anything.
Yeah. By the time you get it from there, no.
It's fine.
But
All right.
the one that was in the former Perkins on Forest Avenue is like
Okay.
unbelievable. They have a wood burning oven, and you can see the bread being cooked, and they have this whole shtick where you want to just make up that it's your birthday, or you just want to order this massive meat platter, which is like a big
I
sampler
always want
thing.
the massive meat platter.
And-
Under all circumstances, whether it's my birthday or not, I'll always take it.
I
I'll
love
have two.
Do we have any Rodizio on Staten Island anymore? Or is it all
Not
gone?
anymore. I think it left with Chef Mike.
Yeah.
That was it?
Yeah. I think Chef Mike, you would tell,
I'll
Chef
make
Mike.
some sirloin caps for you.
I want it all, though. You can't just make... I just want you to keep coming out with skewers.
Sure.
Just shave it.
And when you say wood-burning stove and Forest Avenue, I'm like, I go back to my childhood. You should do, like, fast food Fridays. That's no longer here. Like, I missed the Roy Rogers, but the one...
Great idea.
But
That's-
you know what I missed that was on... I think it was on Forest by Perkins. Do you remember Kenny Rogers Chicken?
I knew you were going to say that.
Like, I just remember, like, walking in and all the chickens just spinning in
That
this...
was that like your happy place? You
like Seinfeld. It was great.
Oh my god.
That was a great fast food restaurant.
The one that
Roll
was
and roaster.
the one that was by me in Dongan Hills when I was growing up, it was so busy. They were overwhelmed, like all
That's
the
good.
time. It wasn't good because you go in there and you wait for like an hour to get.
Good problem to have, though.
But that was overwhelming. I felt sorry for them at one point. People were yelling at them, and
Staten Island.
you know.
So,
Do you remember when the Popeye chicken sandwich came out and there was lines for hours, and then there was the video on the Staten Island Mall
Oh, yeah.
of the worker who like jumped over the counter to fight the customer?
Gosh. My favorite Staten Island food incident. I mean, I know this is horrible. It's not funny, but it is funny. And
It's gonna be good. Get ready.
completely scrubbed from online was an incident in a supermarket where the person didn't wear a mask during COVID, and people were screaming at them, and there was like people had pitchforks, and they were coming at this woman, and oh gosh, and even somebody in a wheelchair was like going at them. It was
Equal
intense.
opportunity haters out here.
Strange time. It was a strange
I mean,
time.
a lot of things
We're a
happen.
good town. We're a good town. We just
A lot of things happened during that time.
if you don't go my way, like
Nothing good
What's
happens
your-
in a supermarket. That's why I use Instacart.
Where's the best shawarma on the island?
shawarma. That's a good question.
I used to live on McDougal Street in the village, over
Okay.
near where
Yeah,
you went to
yeah.
school. So I've been spoiled.
I personally like Lebanese eatery in Port Richmond.
Okay.
It's right next to Cucina Basil, sorry. And it's also right near the Burger King over there on Willowbrook Avenue road, sorry. And the guy there, it does a great job. It's very fresh. And he has the whole family making food.
Has
Right.
that nice feel,
Yeah.
authentic.
And it's got 3 ghost kitchens, I think, running out of there.
Oh,
cool.
That's,
But-
good. That's new.
So you mentioned Burger King. What's happening on Staten Island? Is Burger King retreating?
They are time to move on for the ownership. And
McDonald's won?
I don't know if McDonald's won.
I think Wendy's
But-
won.
I think with fast food, I think Popeyes is probably pretty fierce on Staten Island.
We just got one
Pop- yeah.
a couple of months ago.
Taco Bell, and I hate to say this, but there are so many of these places
Right.
that they're competing against themselves. at
Remember,
this
we
point.
had Taco Bell disappear off the island.
Yep.
I was going to Jersey,
You had to
like
go to Woodbridge.
Route 9.
Yeah.
Yeah, you was going
Next
to
to
Route
ShopRite.
9, and then now it's back, and thank God.
Taco Bell is where Empire State Bank is now, right?
Where?
On Highland.
Yes.
But I have to say that it's really no disrespect to the hardworking people of Taco Bell, and they do a fine job. But our Mexican food is pretty amazing, and we've
Yeah.
had a Mexican population here for about 3 decades at least. So the community is very established, especially with restaurants on Port Richmond Avenue and so on and so forth. And what got the attention of the New Yorker actually was a restaurant that we had broadcast about. There's a whole bunch of delis and such, Los Portrios, and a lot of restaurants that have the deli in the front and the
Right.
restaurant in the back. One really great place, actually, it's on Castleton Avenue in West Brighton. It's called Oaxaca Deli. And yeah, it's not really a deli. It's both a pizzeria, believe it or not, with Mexican pizza. And
See, but isn't that confusing with the marketing? A guy like me, I'm never walking in there to get anything. Oaxaca Deli.
They don't want you.
What are they doing? Serving pizza?
They don't
No,
want
they
you.
probably don't. They're probably right. They probably don't want me.
but anyway, it's like Staten Island has a great Mexican food backbone. So it's like Taco Bell. I know.
There's still a place for fast food, but yeah, I just went to the one you showcased, Alfonso's.
I love
And-
the cantina.
Yeah.
Those
Oh, yeah.
are fantastic.
He does a wonderful job. So Alfonso's is new. It's in the La Riviera shopping complex where there's Intox over
Yep.
there. And
I'm a
Dunkin'
Sophia's
Donuts.
fan. I like Sophia's. I don't know.
so yes.
Sophia's
I
good
love
too.
Sophia's.
But let's talk about trends just with restaurant owners. So
Yeah.
and people who are multiple unit operators like Peter Botros.
Right. And we had Carmine Gualtieri here the other day.
Carmine's. And so Carmine's is like a trendsetter because he's got several restaurants.
Right.
And the German place, which Cypress Hall, I'm not sure the connection with German food and Cypress. So it's people send compliments all the time to the Advance about the food there. And he's got Richmond Republic in Eltingville, which has a vibrant bar scene.
They have a good brunch.
A brunch, right?
I didn't really say a brunch.
Between him and Peter, they own most of the restaurants.
Yeah, and Julian. Julian has Blue and
Yes.
Beso
He's-
and Bayou and
One of my
Beso
favorites.
is probably one of my favorite restaurants in town.
And one of the nicest humans, too.
Yeah.
yeah.
He's
One of
fantastic.
the nicest humans.
He is.
I like
So,
that.
He's
so,
great.
so Beso is at 70 Bay Street. They've moved, and then Blue is beautiful, right
Yeah,
on
Blue
the
is
water. Very nice. And Peter really is very dynamic. He's got such exciting ideas and puts them in motion. I do worry about him, frankly. He's like all over the place.
Gotta tell you, the omakase. Have you ever done his omakase?
At the Chef's Loft.
It is the best thing I've ever done in my life.
So why don't you
was
tell
at
the
Violet's.
viewers about that?
No, it was at Violet's, and it was
Okay.
phenomenal. You sit in the wine room. It was me, my wife, my brother-in-law, and
Oh.
my sister. We did 4 people for Christmas. You sit, and the omakase thing is where you just trust the chef. I don't know if that's what it means. Is that what it means?
That's
Trust
what-
in the chef? Something like that?
I put you in my hands, basically.
Chef's choice. Thank you, Voice from Beyond. This is cool. But so in any event, you pick either 6, 9, or 12 courses, and they just bring out stuff, and you don't know what it's going to be. And we had wine with every piece, with every course. The sommelier comes out and explains it, and Peter comes out and talks. It was probably the best dining experience I've had, including the week after when we went to a Michelin star restaurant in Manhattan called Le Part. My wife and I, for our anniversary, we both were in the restaurant saying, I'm going to text Pete right now and tell him that I think his was better. That's how much we enjoyed it. It was phenomenal. So if anybody looking to do something like that, it's a totally different experience. I recommend you look it up. That was at Violet Cellar we did.
Nice.
Phenomenal.
So Peter took over the space that was Hillside Market, that's where he's moving a rustic pizzeria.
Yes.
And in the old rustic, he's going to be running a bunch of ghost kitchens out of there. So that's going to be like primarily a hub for to-go
Makes sense.
delivery.
As an owner-operator, though, and you've been there, he's got to streamline what he's doing. If you can just push it there and
Yeah.
get that done, it makes a lot of sense.
As long as there's a labor pool.
Yeah, exactly.
But I think the Nokotras do a fabulous job with their concepts because they follow them through very intently from the beginning into when they're in motion. The latest one is Pienza, which is right at the base of the Advance
Right
building,
down the
right?
block, downstairs.
Commons 3. It's beautiful. There's art, that's interactive art. You can see those reclining Liberty, and they have a beer and
I like
wine.
the elephant outside. Man, what's she doing? Right, that's part of the artwork.
Mhm.
Yeah.
It's,
So
you don't
I
like
think
the elephant?
She's leaving.
What do you mean?
That's what she has. She has like the little.
Oh, I thought you
sack.
meant they were taking her away.
oh.
No.
But it's become like
She's a hobo.
it's become,
Vagabond.
and they have doggy dining. It's like one of the only places that has doggy dining.
That's cool.
Well, Lorenzo's their dog, right? There's
Yes.
got to their dog.
Makes sense.
Yeah. So
They're,
all
they're
that.
thoughtful in what they put in with everything.
But the other thing is like interesting places like Layla,
I like
in
Layla.
Richmond Valley. You can't.
I haven't been. I've heard
That's
amazing
interesting.
things.
Wood-fired food, man. It's awesome.
And I love like that type of food. I can't. There's the new one coming by us in the South Shore, big Riva.
That's
Yes.
a Mediterranean
Smash
style,
it.
right?
Yeah.
Mediterranean.
In the old Smash Burger location.
And also, again, to talk about what Carmine has done, he established Fava, which is Mediterranean style food
Yeah.
next to a pizza parlor on the north side, right on Jewett Avenue. Nice. But also 286 South. I don't know if you've been there.
Yeah,
Richmond
it's
Valley
nice.
also. They do a great
My
job.
old chef was there.
Chef
My
Alex.
staff was there. They're fantastic. They're great.
Yeah.
Shout out to
So-
them. They were doing a good job. You've been there.
Yeah.
You actually told me
it's
it was good.
excellent. Yeah.
They're great.
Yeah. All the I can't think of the chef's name. Alex.
Alex
yeah.
McGlory.
Yeah. We went there. The food was phenomenal. It really shows you don't have to leave the borough to get great cuisine and have good food. We have you stay on the borough, right? What was the Staten boroughs?
Stay in the borough. That was it.
Stay in the borough.
So maybe Pam could settle a
No, it's
conversation for some
definitely
of
the
our
best.
friends.
It's definitely.
So we've been going back and forth. Some of our friends don't believe. I didn't believe Mike at first when he brought it up, but he had our family out for dinner one night.
Uh-oh.
One of the best steaks on Staten Island.
Oh, here we go.
Millie's the meatballs.
Oh, yeah. They do a fabulous job.
It's excellent.
Everybody
Yeah.
knows.
I think it's great.
I told them all the time I believed them.
No,
You
I
gotta
don't
go
think.
taste it.
I love a Peter Luger's steak. I enjoy going to Peter Luger's, but I don't have to go over the bridge anymore. Make reservations, sit in traffic.
The best steak you had was in my backyard 2 weeks
Oh,
ago.
it was excellent. However, I didn't really get a piece if we're going to talk about that. That'll be Mike's rant, where you guys all took the piece as a steak, gave me the piece with fat, and then said, oh, yeah, but there's nothing left.
We were trying to keep an eye out for you.
Yeah, thanks. But no, the Millie's Meatballs, we go there, my wife and I, probably once a week
Wow.
for a couple of months now, and we might be running its course, though. That's the problem. The one thing I do at restaurants is I like a restaurant, and then we just go, and then eventually my wife looks and goes,
He was our
"Please
best customer.
stop."
He lived down the block from Gio's. He was our best customer.
Really?
I would just tell the listen, anytime I call, just send him whatever you want. Walk it to him, deliver it to him, give him a bottle of wine. He's paying the electric bill, so just keep sending it. Just give him
Well,
whatever he wants.
The food was excellent there.
Thank you.
And especially during COVID, like when you guys would deliver right down the block, and then
Yeah,
you
makes
guys,
sense.
when they first were allowed to do delivery for alcohol, like the Peak Sangria would come.
All over that.
Yeah.
We were all right on top of that.
Now they've made that official, right? That's now restaurants could still send cocktails, right, with food.
The last I checked, yeah.
Yeah, I think
So-
they made that permanent change.
But I don't know. Who's going to do that? I don't know.
I do.
You
Well,
do, really?
Yeah,
I
we
think it
do
ran
it.
its
We-
course.
So I have,
to
you know,
support Seppi's. They had those cocktails during
They did a
COVID.
good
It was
job.
awesome.
Yeah.
And Massimo at Cinema
yeah.
Yep.
in Stapleton.
The reason we do it is I have a 6 and a 3-year-old.
Oh,
So
okay.
we can't always go out. Now, thankfully, my younger daughter is now starting to get where we're able to take her out to restaurants in the past couple of months. But prior to that, my wife and I wanted to go eat. We wanted to go drink. What better way than to be able to order and takeout? So I think, yes, not in terms of the COVID reason now, but for parents who you can't get out with kids, and sometimes you want to go to a restaurant, you don't want to feel bad when you bring your kid and the kid's crying and people are having a date. It gives you the ability to enjoy that restaurant.
That's an excellent selling point.
Yeah.
So I just want to also mention with steaks, 44 Richmond Terrace, that's Ruddy and Dean. That's in
There you
St.
go.
George. That's another, but he ages the steaks and does
Nice.
a nice job with the oysters. So
Before we come to an end or start wrapping up, I have a question that's like a loaded question. So I want you to answer it here live. Well, not live, but I want it live. Who's doing a really good job of marketing, in your opinion,
Okay.
and branding their restaurants? And then you don't have to name them by name, but who do you think or maybe it's better to say what area of the borough, because that's safer, right, can do a little better on their marketing and branding, because there are over 1,000 food locations. You just named at least 50 on this episode alone. Between all of us, we probably named 100 restaurants on Staten Island. And some people listening and watching have heard of them, some people haven't. Who do you think's doing a great job, and who?
I don't know. You could put a section of the borough.
Well, I don't want her to say who's really bad. Johnny. I don't want her to do that. So who's doing a really good job? Let's do that. Who's doing
All
a really
right.
good job of
So
marketing?
I think that the restaurants that are aligned with other restaurants do a fabulous job. And the South Shore I think, does a wonderful job. I really think that is.
Thank you. But
You
that's
know.
because we organize a restaurant crawl, but it's
Mhm.
only because we have such great restaurants there to promote. We by default to do a good job because the guys and gals that own those places are so well known. If we didn't have good quality restaurants, it would be a little more difficult
Because you're
to
able
organize.
to go on the crawl and get
Right.
Richmond Republic, go right across the street to Sophia's.
Right.
and-
We have great restaurants, but
Yeah.
So we've
outs-
talked North Shore, we've talked South Shore.
Mid Island, you were
There's,
talking New
there
York
is no
Lane.
Big Island, it's north and south.
I think
Well, New York Lane.
there's strength in numbers. And on the North Shore, you've got the Forest Avenue bid. Then they do the restaurant crawls. They could do better. But I think that the borough president's office has an enormous opportunity, a lot of missed opportunities, frankly, with getting the restaurants together and getting them together by neighborhood. But
When he first came in, he did I forgot the name of the campaign, but I think you were even at the press conference. It was I forgot where it was, but it was basically, we missed New Year's Eve. So it was like New Year's Eve do-over.
Yes,
Oh,
yes,
yes.
yes, yes.
What was that? And
Right.
that was, he was only in office a couple of weeks, months, not even. And he
Yep.
did something, and he tried, and I don't know if it worked or not, but at least he showed an effort. So,
yes, but I think that the effort is going to come from people who own restaurants.
Yeah.
And they have to be a little more active in community board meetings and the bids, very important. And if they're not, it's, again, missed opportunities because there's only strength in numbers in a borough like ours, which is pretty spread out. And it's either concentrated or it's not. It's like either going to Annandale, you get off the train station, there's a bunch of restaurant
Right.
options there, or there's not.
That was when I lived in Arizona in Scottsdale, they had a huge food and wine festival that would go, I know it was definitely a weekend, but I think it might even been like longer than a weekend. And it was great because there was so many restaurants, they had bartenders, very similar to what you do at the Mount, but you do like a
these are
small
actual
level because
locations.
how amazing would it be if you got these restaurants all from Island and you make like a Staten Island like food and wine festival and it'd be amazing.
I grew up working the Taste of Chicago, which is the biggest food
Yeah.
fest in the country before the last mayor destroyed it. But, different topic. But honestly, they would take 3 miles down Michigan Avenue and block it off with every
What was
restaurant.
that? The
food
Golden
booth.
Mile? Is that street they call it? What's that street?
That's the Gold Coast, that's farther up.
Okay.
We do have a great opportunity to do that at the Ferry Hawks, it's the Staten Island University Hospital Community Ballpark.
Yep, there you go.
No bank in there anymore. Anyway, but Eric Shuffler has done a really great job at pushing to get stuff going on there. And they've got Flower and Oak with pizza in their local restaurant representation. They've got Kettle Black.
Yeah.
And then there's
Kilmeyer? Not
He
Kilmeyer.
has good
Hillsborough.
concessions, but you can't do a festival there because he won't allow any food
Yeah, not
vendors
allowed.
on the field.
there will be a beer festival. I believe it's November 4th.
You won't
It's
be
gonna
able to
be-
go
But you
on
won't
the-
be able to go on the
You can't go on
field.
the field, probably.
But for one day, you can have craft brewers come from
Right.
all over,
Nice.
and nice representation, preferably from the brewer
Right, but-
themselves.
But he has the potential, but you
Yeah.
can't go on the field.
You don't need the field.
You need the field. No, not for a beer.
I was
but you
told
dig
no.
a food
To
festival.
do a food truck festival down there, we need
Mm.
the field.
Oh,
To do
100%.
something like that,
Like-
we need the field.
They've done that. They've done food truck festivals.
Not on the field.
Yeah, that was
They-
the old field.
That was the old
Right.
field.
That was before they turfed it. That was the old guys.
Oh, gotcha. Yeah.
But they're gonna be doing big things down there. We broke the world record there, right?
We did.
The entire community
Oh,
came
yes.
together to break that world record. So shout out to the Ferry Hawks doing big things down there.
Actually, we're honoring Kathy Del Piore and the Grace Foundation tonight at Angelina's for
It's true.
they're getting the Nonprofit of the Year award for that record,
And also-
2,423.
And also DMC, we have to shout out David Michael Carr,
He's getting
who's getting
he's
an
getting
award
the
this evening as well.
Oh.
So congratulations to him.
He's been excellent. He is the first
Phenomenal.
politician that responds to any question that I ask. Boom, right there. So kudos to Mr.
And his
Carr.
office is great too.
They are.
They are.
So how can restaurants reach out to you? What is appealing to you as a journalist? What's going to make you open your inbox, right? Because everyone wants to be profiled. Everyone wants the article written. We had this conversation with Tracy before. So on your end of the spectrum, what do you got to send? What's going to penetrate the inbox? What's going to get you to open it and actually respond to the restaurant owner out there that wants to be featured,
Right,
has
'cause you're
good
only
content?
You're only one person.
That's an excellent question. I think that it's important to send an email at silvestri@siadvance.com. It's SILVESTRI. at siadvance.com. All you have to do is say, hello, Pam, in the memo, and I will get it.
That's it. Hello,
Hello,
Pam.
Pam.
That was it.
That's it.
So every
There is
restaurant
free
store,
food for you and the address.
every restaurant that's listening right now, just write hello, Pam, and that's it. You're in.
That's it. That's all you got to say. Just be nice. It's all good.
Any parting words?
Well,
Words of wisdom to businesses out there?
Just focus on service and consistency, and it'll all be okay. And be good to the customer, and try to answer on the first ring, and clean up storefront, and wash your windows, and never go into a restaurant as a customer if the windows are dirty, because if the windows are dirty on the outside, you can imagine what's going on the inside.
I like that.
And
logic.
keep out the travelers.
Yes, keep out the
No
travelers.
travelers. No travelers allowed.
Great advice.
Pam, thank you for joining us. We really appreciate you coming in.
Thank you for having me.
Love seeing what you're doing with the dish and your new series here with the Fast Food Fridays to get people to tune in. Come back. Come back. I think there's probably another 3-4 episodes of food.
Oh, yeah.
That we could easily
Tons of
knock
food.
out.
I'm going to say right here, I am willing to take this show on the road
With
if we're going to
Pam.
get food.
If Pam's going to
If
be
we're
with
going to be
us.
in a
Yeah.
restaurant, I am willing to set up on the road.
You can certainly help me eat that food.
Heard it here.
That
Heard it
sounds
here
good.
first.
You heard it here.
So anyhow, let's get this wrapped up. It's always good seeing you, and I'm glad you were able to come in and join us.
Thank you.
So thank you.
3 companies, disrupting what you know about marketing and branding. Welcome to M Squared.